away from all the vultures. No scavengers here, just keeping it real. Big got it out the mud, but it's still so clear. So sit back, relax, and just let us lead you. If you're trolling for the reason, then we don't need you. It's Big XL, he can't be stopped. Riding dirty forever, the home of real hip hop. Ride dirty, y'all can't harm. I still live and fly in the sky with the sun. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty. Ride dirty, dog, y'all can't harm. I still live and fly in the sky with the sun. Ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty, ride dirty.
What up, world? It's your boy, Vic XL. This is the Riding Dirty Show, where we bridge the gap between hip-hop and everyday life. I always got to start the show off by saying one time for the good people over at WRFG 89.3 FM Atlanta. Also got to say one time for the good people over at Live365.com, who have allowed us the opportunity to launch our very own internet radio station, Ride95. Now, for everybody who wants to know how to access Ride95, let me give you the lowdown real quick. First thing you need to do if you're doing it via your laptop or desktop computer, all you got to do is go to Live365.com. In the search engine, be sure to type in the word Ride95. When our station logo comes up, click on the station logo and you can hear music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We got original programming and dope music. All right, if you're trying to listen via your mobile device, all you got to do is download the Live365 app. Download the Live365 app and then click on the station logo in the search. Well, go to the search engine, type in Ride95, click on the station logo, and same deal. Live music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right, again, one time for Live365 for partnering up with us and allowing us to launch our very own internet radio station. Also, our station is media based, which means artists, if your music is properly registered, it will track and you will receive your BMI ASCAP or whoever you're registered with. Okay, all right. Today, Saturday morning, it is August the 15th. And let me run down some birthdays for you real quick, see what we got going on our celebrity birthday list. First and foremost, I gotta say rest in peace and happy birthday to the late, great Nipsey Hussle, okay? Today, if Nipsey Hussle was still amongst us, today would be his birthday, and he would be 35 years old. So happy birthday and rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. I also got to say happy birthday to Chicago rap star Chief Keef. Chief Keef is 25 years old today. Happy birthday, Chief Keef. Also got to say happy birthday to Atlanta rapper Cash Out. Y'all might remember him. He had that song, Smoking on that Nina. He had a song called Cashing Out a few years ago. Cash Out turns 30 years old today. Also got to say happy birthday to actor Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson turns 50 years old today. And last but not least, got to say happy birthday to actor Quentin Aaron. You might know Quentin Aaron from the movie The Blind Side. He played football player Michael Orr. Quentin Aaron turns 36 years old today, so definitely happy birthday to Quentin Aaron. Now, while we're on the day of August the 15th, I want to let you guys know, in case you did not know, today, August 15th, is National Relaxation Day. Okay? National Relaxation Day on August 15th encourages us to slow down and unwind. It is a day to focus on taking care of ourselves and take a moment to relax. Okay? National Relaxation Day is an important day as we all need a break from the fast-paced and off-the-hectic lifestyles we live. All right? So, today, Saturday, August 15th, is National Relaxation Day. What a great day. Beautiful Saturday. Y'all just get your relax on, all right? If you choose to participate on social media, make sure you take your best shot. Take your best shot and relax. All right? The way to observe is this. Take a deep breath. Unwind while viewing your favorite TV show or just a quiet spot in the park and enjoy the summer breeze. Use National Relaxation Day if you choose to participate on social media. Okay? All right. Real quick, let me shift gears, give y'all a little celebrity hip-hop news. I don't have a lot, but got a little bit. Gotta say one time for legendary Yonkers rap group, The Lox. The Lox has officially announced that they will be dropping a brand new album. They've recruited a star-studded lineup of producers, and also with the brand new album, they're going to be doing a limited edition podcast, and the name of this album is called Living Off Experience. Living Off Experience. All right. Also in celebrity news, I gotta say one time for Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. You know, last week they released their brand new single WAP. Well, it's projected to debut at #1 with a huge first week of sales. Matter of fact, the video done so well in 1 week it streamed over 81 million views. So congratulations to Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion on their brand new song WAP. And last but not least, Dr. Dre, you know he's getting a divorce from his longtime wife. Well, guess what? His wife is seeking to have his records audited. She demands an audit of his financial records, and they are basically at war because she says Dr. Dre is worth over $800 million. So, man, I'm not sure what's going on, but Dre, I think you're going to have to pay her because she's trying to get all in your books, buddy. Okay? All right. I just gave y'all celebrity news. I just gave y'all celebrity birthdays. I told you today is National Relaxation Day, and hopefully you're starting your relaxation day off by listening to this show. I also let you know about our brand new radio station, Ride95, via live365.com. Now it's time for me to do what I enjoy doing most. And it's talking to the people on the street, the people that are changing our culture, the people that are shaping our culture, the people that are doing their thing, whether it's through arts, entertainment, philanthropism, activism, entrepreneurship, music. This platform is for people who are changing the world. And today is no different than any other day on the Ride and Dirty Show. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Ride and Dirty platform. Activist, speaker, Mr. Peter Brooks. How you doing today, my sir?
Man, thank you so much, brother. And I'm going to tell you right here at the beginning, you know, it's me who should interview you because what you've accomplished here is just amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to speak on your platform, which is just awesome. I'm so impressed.
Sir, you know what? When I was reading your bio, and it's funny because we're going to get into everything. But it's funny because of something that just transpired last month. I'm like, oh, man, this is amazing because my wife was actually asking me about what we're going to speak on. And I'm like, man, I got to guess who will be able to go more in detail about this movement better than me. So, first and foremost, I want to tell the world, Mr. Peter Brooks is here to talk to us about the Harlem Renaissance. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, I know you know this.
Man.
I know you already know this, but if you don't, did you know that I think last month that the United States Postal Service issued the Voices of the Harlem Renaissance stamp collection?
Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. I mean, it's 100 years since it really kicked off, you know, in the 1920s, and really it is the single most important purely cultural event in American history. I mean, there is nothing that I can think of which compares to the contribution that our people made during the Harlem Renaissance.
All right, now.
Really, because, you know, you're talking... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because what I want you to do is,
sure.
Because I'm sure, especially now, I'm an older statesman of things, but there are a lot. I have a large fan base that are between the ages of 18 and 30 who might not even be aware of what the Harlem Renaissance is. So, in a nutshell, can you give our listeners first and foremost a brief history of what the Harlem Renaissance was?
Yes, sir. Well, for me, the Harlem Renaissance really kicks off in 1920 when Marcus Garvey holds the Universal Negro Improvement Association Conference at Madison Square Garden. This is in 1920, and he draws 35,000 people to this event. And basically the message that Marcus Garvey was giving our people at that time is, your history does not begin with slavery. I know that's all you know, but your history really begins in Africa. And it's really the first time somebody ever truly explained that to black people. And so Garvey built a movement of millions of African descendants from Panama and South America, through the Caribbean, in the United States, and in Africa. And it wasn't just that he was the author or anything, because even though he wasn't working in conjunction with people like Langston Hughes and Wilmer Bearden and W.E.B. Du Bois, it was that consciousness that he introduced for the common person, which elevated all of these great artists like Zora Neale Hurston. So many of the legends that you know of in black history, put them on another level. And together in the arts, in literature, in music, in sculpture, just about, you name it, philosophy, Marcus Garvey himself really is responsible for two major religions, Rastafarianism and the Nation of Islam. And it's not many people you can look back on in history that can say that. So it is an extraordinary achievement. It's an extraordinary celebration. And I'm just happy to be able to tell people their great history, because they can eat off of that. You know what I mean? They can live off of that. That's something to build off of. That's your platform, you know. That's just what it is. It's this incredible explosion and outpouring of art, culture, thinking, a renaissance of the way black people were viewed. We're no longer viewed as slaves. We're viewed as equals, and we can prove it. And so one of the things that happened during the Harlem Renaissance was with U.B. Blake. You know, in 1921, he gave a musical called Shuffle Along. Well, before Shuffle Along, black people in Broadway were only presented in minstrel shows and in these demeaning ways like, you know, Amos and Andy and that kind of thing, Step and Fetch It. But after Shuffle Along, everyone saw that we were capable. We can sing and dance and speak English perfectly. You know what I mean? We can compose our own music. We can do our own thing, and we don't need you. And so things like this are just inspiring people to greatness. And that's what the Harlem Renaissance is really about.
Okay, now
changing people's minds.
Let's talk a little bit about yourself. Being an ambassador of the Harlem Renaissance, what is your correlation to the Harlem Renaissance? Or who are you a descendant of? Or are you a descendant of any of the forefathers or the Renaissance? Let's talk a little bit about your history.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, my great aunt was Blanche Calloway. Blanche Calloway was from Baltimore. She left Baltimore in 1921 to join the touring company of Shuffle Along. Her younger brother was Cab Calloway, who is my grandfather. She introduced my grandfather to her friend Louis Armstrong, who took my grandfather on as a mentor. And so my grandfather did some of the things that Louis Armstrong did, but he did some of the things that Blanche Calloway did. And a lot of people don't know who Blanche Calloway was, but really she was the first African-American sex symbol, she and Josephine Baker. In fact, Josephine Baker was performing with her in that touring company of Shuffle Along. Because, you know, Blanche's contemporaries were people like Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, and they were fine singers, but they weren't considered desirable black women. And so Blanche kind of broke that mold and opened the door for everybody else to follow, you know, from Jada Pinkett to whoever else, you know, you want to name in terms of African-American women that followed her, including Josephine Baker. And then the other thing that Blanche did, which was really innovative, was the fact that she introduced in the 1920s call and response in the music. She came out from the stage and interacted with the audience and did little skits and things like that during the music with the band and with the audience. And so this introduced a kind of a casualness to the music, you know what I mean? Because before then, and even during that time, a singer would just sit there on the stage flat-footed and prove their greatness. Blanche made it more of a show, you know, more of a cabaret type thing. And that, of course, ushered in rock and roll music and all the casualness that you see in music today where singers are getting down with their audience. It really kind of started with Blanche. Now, her brother perfected it, and his career eclipsed hers. And she, you know, became forgotten, really, but still, she was a major force. She was the first African-American woman to lead an all-male band in the South. And she had, you know, her encounter in Yazoo, Mississippi, which really devastated her career in 1937. But, you know, it was her younger brother, Cab, who perfected this, and I think laid the foundation for hip-hop and stuff to come, you know, 60 and 70 years later. But Cab was kind of feeling out what that thing was going to be about. And his major innovation in terms of how it relates with hip-hop is the fact that he's saying to people, I'm not making a music that's for everybody. This music is for my people. And either you're one of my people or you're not. Either you get it or you don't. You know, and that's kind of the first time that type of risk-taking is successfully executed. Because before then, all the singers, and, you know, during then, like Nat King Cole and Billy Eckstine and the rest of them, had to have a kind of a universal appeal. And Cab sort of broke that mold, and that also, you know, allowed this history to emerge. So, you know, it's like, I think it's important that our people know our history. You know, I found out even Cab's grandfather was a member of one of the first black civil rights organizations called the United Brotherhood of Liberty. This is 1885 in Baltimore, and I feel like they combined so much of the NAACP as well as the Black Panthers because they were doing stuff on the streets and they were doing stuff in the courts. And I feel like if the Panthers had known about this group, they would have been a stronger organization. So I think the more you learn in terms of your history, the more options it gives you as your career develops and grows and, you know, you get older and wiser and stuff. So that's why I'm talking to people about the history, because it's my grandfather. It's I think it's important for today, and I'm just trying to make the link so that people see that. And I'm hoping I can speak at, you know, historically black colleges and stuff, because this is our wealth. This is our legacy. This is our gift from the ancestors, the Harlem Renaissance.
All right, now, because especially in 2020, there's so many documentaries and movies, and there's so many opportunities, even though we need more, there's so many opportunities for history to be told. Mm-hmm. Do you foresee a big screen movie possibly about Blanche, or even something focusing on the Harlem Renaissance? Because I haven't seen anything focusing on the Harlem Renaissance on the big screen.
I know. Well, really, it's the Schomburg Museum in New York that is considered like the museum of the Harlem Renaissance. But I'm hoping, you know, this is how these movies and books and stuff start, is when somebody gets up and talks to young people, and then they say, yeah, man, this is something I didn't know about. And then they start researching it, and then it kind of builds from there. But, yeah, I think there's a lot to be told. We haven't seen the movie of Langston Hughes. We haven't really seen the movie of Marcus Garvey. We haven't seen the movie of Zora Neale Hurston. I mean, we haven't seen the movie of W.E.B. Du Bois. There's plenty of opportunity out there for people, you know, young people to take this up and run with it. And I think the more you get into their lives and stuff and you see that these are honorable people who gave of themselves to better the entire race. And that's what it's about. So my talk talked about, you know, 5 of the keys that you need in order to create a similar Renaissance to what they had. And obviously the first one is you've got to look back into your past. You've got to know who you are. And that's something that the Rastafarian movement executed really well by going back to Ethiopia and Haile Selassie. And it's really significant for the Renaissance because he was the inspiration for everybody in the fact that that was the only African country that was never conquered. And that is amazing. Even the Indian tribes can't really, I mean, maybe you could say the Iroquois, were never conquered, but that was an extraordinary achievement, and it made us all so proud and of who we are. And so that's what history does for you. It gives you that anchor and that platform and that sort of, strong sense that nobody can tell you who you are because you know who you are.
All right, now, what made you embark on this journey?
Well, it was easy. I live in Baltimore, and I had seen how much of the Harlem Renaissance had been erased in Baltimore. Like, U.B. Blake was from Baltimore, and we don't know where his house is. Chick Webb was from Baltimore. Chick Webb is considered the greatest percussionist in American history. He was also part of the Harlem Renaissance. I mean, if you listen to Chick Webb's band and then listen to Benny Goodman's band, they're doing the exact same numbers, but Chick's is just rolling, man. And, so many other people, like the Royal Theater, which was our theater on the Chitlin Circuit, gone. And so they were going to tear down my grandfather's house, and it was also the house of my grand aunt, and where they grew up and where they learned about music and first thought about, man, maybe we should get into music as a way of getting out of poverty, you know what I mean? And they're tearing that house down. And I thought, wow, if y'all are tearing this house down, this means you don't know the significance of it. So I just took it upon myself to try to tell people the significance of its history, and that's basically how I got started with it.
All right, now, in putting all this together, what are some of the things that you've actually learned that you actually had no clue about that basically astonished you? You're like, wow, I had no idea of this.
Wow. All right. So going into the neighborhood and seeing where he grew up, I realized that Cab Calloway was really, and probably, I don't know this for a fact, but I get the feeling that he was the first black musician to come from a black neighborhood and talk about the people and the circumstances and the things going on in the neighborhood. Because most of the music and the singers around then were only talking about love and relationships and places they'd like to go and stuff like that. But he was talking about drug addicts and hustlers and people, just living on the street. And I don't think anybody thought you could make money talking about that stuff at that time, but he did it. And so his song, Minnie the Moocher, which he released in 1931, became the first song to sell 1 million records. To let you know how deep it is, in 1932, he cut a single called Reefer Man. Now, I mean, he's singing a song about the brother who's selling marijuana on the street back in the day. So that was really cutting edge, and people just weren't doing that kind of stuff. So that's where I began to see how he was the first one really to show those types of innovations that you see in hip-hop today in terms of people telling the story of our people as it exists here and now. And that's what he was doing. And it's different, though, because, when you listen to Cab Calloway's music, it's not a lot of anger or there's no, hatred toward women and stuff. I mean, he's dealing with women, and he doesn't, have, super women in his music and stuff. He's making fun of people most of the time. Like in Minnie the Moocher, he's teasing her. He's teasing drug addicts and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was one thing I developed. And then, just learning about the whole Harlem Renaissance and how all these people were working together, yet not working together. It was just really, really profound. When you go back into history, W.E. Du Bois and these guys, they really couldn't stand Marcus Garvey because he was so popular. That was part of the reason. Garvey had millions of followers, and they couldn't, get that. And so there was all this jealousy and stuff, which is something that I learned we can't really afford to have amongst ourselves, today. We need to all work together and just accept each other and move forward with what we got. But I really think Cab was the innovator of hip-hop, man, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but
You know what? I definitely, and I'm gonna end the interview with the Cab Calloway song. But I definitely do think that Cab was an innovator, especially when it comes to call and response, because hip hop definitely in the very, very early era of hip hop, when people would like say the call and response era of hip hop, like say ho ho, the whole call and response and chance era of hip hop. I can definitely see where Cab Calloway could be considered the father of that, but because before him, I don't know people who was getting that call and response going.
They were doing it a lot in rock and roll, like it's a song called "Won't You Stay a Little Bit Longer," and he's talking to the audience and stuff. But you're right. I mean, that was their bread and butter. I mean, that was their go-to play. So I'm hoping that people are interested in this and that I can get a chance to share this information and this knowledge. And if you know somebody in Hollywood, I'd love to make a movie on it. And I hope that y'all can listen to the music and then appreciate and come to the same conclusion I did.
Okay.
The scat and the style he sings and stuff it's really pure black, man.
All right. Other than you lecturing and going out and talking, to organizations and schools and universities and educating people about the Harlem Renaissance, do you foresee yourself possibly doing a book or what's next for Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, I know I got to do a book. I just got to sit down and do it. And I'm definitely primed to do a book. And it's been a long time coming, but it's just so much, and then you're learning so much, and you just got to stop and say, let me write this down, what I got here now, and then move on to something else after I'm done with this. So, yeah, I definitely see a book coming.
All right. In closing, because we only have a few minutes left, what do you want people?
Yes, sir.
What do you want people to take from learning about the history of the Harlem Renaissance?
That you don't have to accept whatever anybody says about you or whatever you see out there. That you can make up your own mind to do your own thing, and whatever it is pure and good, especially if you're building upon, historical thought. And you're being respectful to women. I think that's also really, really important. And if you do that, be authentic with your voice, be true to yourself, know your history, and be respectful to your women, I think there's no limit where you can end up. I really do.
All right, now, how can people get in contact with you if they possibly want you to speak or just keep up with what's going on?
Yes, sir. My website is pbspeaks.com. I should probably reserve Peter Brooks Speaks too, but yeah, pbspeaks.com.
Okay. And before I let you go, tell me the name of this Cab Calloway song you sent over to me so I can play it for the people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is so interesting. So the name of this song is Nagasaki.
60 seconds.
To do with Japan, really, but it came out in 1928 or so. And at the time, it was sort of like Camptown Races. It was just this kind of folk song, that they did. And it was, white people that did it, and it was one of the songs about black life kind of that they did. And so in 1935, my grandfather's band released this single called Nagasaki, and he totally redid the song and sped it up, added a lot more rhythm to it and stuff like that. And then he scats over the lyrics where, the other people would just be singing the lyrics. But Nagasaki, I think, is, of all of his songs, really one of the ones that, really points to the beginnings of hip-hop.
10 seconds.
Putting it all together kind of thing. The germination of it.
All right.
So I hope you enjoy it. Nagasaki from 1935.
All right. Also, Mr. Brooks, one last thing. Are you on any forms of social media?
Yes, sir. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find me, Peter Brooks, or by my email at brookspeter@msn.com.
All right. Appreciate your time, sir.